Okay. No, don't have to share my screen, but we're live, so let's get started. All right, my name is Dr. Carolyn Reinhardt. I have a PhD in communication, and am a scholar, I guess, of sense-making studies, fan studies, popular culture studies, those various things. This is a project that I'm calling a sense-making autoethnography. It relates to something traumatic that happened in my past, my family's past, around the years of 1993, 1994, when I was, what is it, 15, 16, so 14, 15, 16, I guess, would be the span from when this all happened. And it involved my aunt, my dad's older sister. She's the eldest on the Reinhards. She was my favorite growing up because to me, she was someone who escaped farm life and rural life and was able to go out and do things. And one of the things she went out and did was she eloped. She married someone that the family didn't meet beforehand. And they came back to Wisconsin, which is where I grew up, and used money from their savings, a loan from the bank, and my grandfather to purchase a farm in Clintonville that they then tried to convert into a fish farm where they were going to grow tilapia, which was an exotic fish at the time in the United States, which is kind of weird to think of given how prevalent it is these days. But only a couple years after starting all of that, my uncle drove out to Colorado. He was going to, I guess, get some more fish, and he disappeared. Um, and that's kind of where this whole thing started. He disappeared August 31st, 1993, and my aunt was the suspect for a while, but she was convinced that he was attacked and had like $10,000 stolen because it was the money he brought to get these fish, and that he was attacked. And when he was attacked, he had amnesia. But there was a lot of what I was told to be inconsistencies because a lot of how I learned about all of this was through my father, who, being the eldest son, was kind of put in charge of a lot of stuff for the Reinhards. And I should say that the reason my grandfather had money to give my aunt was because he had a lot of property from a farm they had that they all grew up on. And he used the money from selling that farm to have two golf courses, one Vinwoods just outside of Green Bay, and then one Sandalwood, which was in Abrams, which is where I grew up. And my dad was the superintendent on that golf course. And he was seen as the reliable son of the two sons that my grandfather had. And my grandfather didn't like daughters all that much. That's a whole nother story. So my dad had to deal with a lot of what was going on. And so we heard things from him. And a lot of what we were hearing from him was kind of contradicting what we were hearing that Chris was saying. And then at the end of 1993, Chris went out and did her own investigation because she didn't think the police were doing a very good job. And what happened was she spent a lot of time searching for where she thought my uncle might be, Uncle Craig. And her journey to find him got in the newspapers, and it got the attention of producers from Unsolved Mysteries. And Unsolved Mysteries was, I guess, an early true crime show. I'm not really sure. I have to look into that some more. But it wasn't just like true crimes too. It was about like supernatural stuff, which is what I liked. So I was a fan, when I was in middle school of the show. And then my aunt was on it, and it kind of went weird for me. And basically for 30 years, I didn't see my aunt, hear my aunt. The last time I saw or heard her was on the Unsolved Mysteries episode. So there's that. But when we moved here to Dickinson, North Dakota, we learned that we were only maybe 6 hours away from her by car. And my dad had, in the meantime, been diagnosed with a condition, a genetic version of this thing called amyloidosis, which is terminal. He's slowly dying. And I guess we wanted to maybe reconnect them. So I drove him to Cody, Wyoming, where my aunt is. And it was surreal to see her. But as part of being there, she gave me all of this, boxes and boxes of stuff that she had kept from what happened. And I will say, Uncle Craig was found. I guess he found himself in a way. He saw one of the reruns of Unsolved Mysteries and reconnected with my aunt that way, but they got divorced soon thereafter. My aunt had said that he had amnesia from the attack, and he also said he had amnesia. So I don't actually know what the true story is. All I know is what I've been told, and I've been told different stories, and all I know is also what I feel. And part of what I always felt was mad at my aunt, because to me, this incident tore apart the Reinhardts, which isn't really true, but that's what it felt like to me at the time as a teenage girl. It also was quickly followed by the death of my grandmother, the matriarch of the Reinhardts, and I blamed my aunt for a lot of that. I always said that Grandma died of pancreatic cancer. She was diagnosed, and then 3 months later, she was gone. And I always thought that, if she wasn't spending so much time on Aunt Chris, she might not have died. So I kind of blamed Aunt Chris for a while, but I'm trying to cope with all of this. And what I thought I would do is go through these boxes, and to do it here, because the episode of Unsolved Mysteries is on YouTube and people can watch it, and they have commented to it. And it's been weird seeing people who weren't even alive at the time judging my family. So I kind of want to wrestle with this idea of, a private trauma becoming public. And I thought, well, I should engage with the trauma publicly then. So, okay, there's a lot of stuff here. Some of it is sealed evidence bags from the investigation, which I've been told not to open on live stream. So I won't do that. And if there's anything very personal in here, like I know my aunt said that there are well-wishing, like letters from well-wishers. So I'm probably not going to do a lot with that. But I haven't really looked at any of this yet. This box is called Search Materials. So I thought I would start with this one just to see what's in here. Yellow pages from October 1993 from the North Pacific. This is where my aunt went. She met Uncle Craig in that area. They were living in, I believe, Seattle for a while. I'll have to double check to make sure. And one of the reasons why they wanted to come back and do a fish farm was because Uncle Craig was certified as a diver. And so they both had an interest in all of this. And so she thought that because he was attacked and had amnesia, maybe he went back to the Pacific Northwest. So that's where she focused her research. And this it's the complete guide to the commercial fishing, maritime, and seafood industries in the North Pacific. I guess maybe she thought that Uncle Craig was trying to get back into a business related to the ocean. I'm not sure. It's interesting. She has some companies in here apparently that she was looking to in particular. This is not anything I knew about. I didn't know she was looking at specific companies over there. So that's fascinating to see. More, oh wow, a lot of yellow pages. For those of you who don't know what these are, or you've never seen these before, this is what we had before we had, smartphones and the internet and World Wide Web. So this was all of the various companies and things that she was hoping to maybe go talk to and see if they would put out flyers or something to try to help. See, she tore a lot of stuff out of these books. Seattle Zip Code Foundry. This is kind of weird because I have brothers who live over there now, so I'm wondering how much this has changed since '93. But there's a lot. There's a lot of this. She just tore everything out. It's almost like you can kind of feel her emotions and the fact that she just tore these pages out. I wonder if this was, something she was allowed to tear out of. I know one of the reasons why Unsolved Mysteries, I think, was interested in doing her story was because she wasn't just sitting around and waiting for the police to do the work. This was a woman in 1993 who was going out there and doing it herself. And that might not seem like a big deal these days, but she's a baby boomer. That's not exactly how they were raised back then. Oh, a lot more. There's a street guide. She apparently wrote on phone numbers, notes to find where to go, maybe, where to look, things like that. A lot of maps, just completely tore out stuff. I think a mouse might have gotten to this. It's a little chewed up at the bottom. But yeah, this is a lot of, trying to find, I hope there's no mouse droppings, trying to find anyone who might be willing to help her and listen. So again, some notes she was taking down, and this is this is from November 30th, 1993, where it was the email that, or not an email, a letter that she wrote up, where she was trying to say, I'm asking for your help in locating my husband, who has been missing since August 30th. My husband, Craig Williamson, was attacked while on a business trip in Colorado. And I should also say, she didn't take his last name, which I also found fascinating for 1993. We believe that he is suffering from amnesia. Well, that's interesting because it was definitely not a we. That was not what we in the family were thinking. Craig was a commercial fisherman and a diver for many years. He worked the entire coast from San Diego to British Columbia. He had intended to fish the Alaskan waters until we met and married in 1990. We moved to Wisconsin in 91. So that's definitely looking into maritime things there. Craig really missed the ocean. I believe in his confused state, he would return to it. We received a positive sighting, she spelled sighting wrong, of him in southern Washington. That actually shows up in the Unsolved Mysteries episode. They reenact it, which that's just weird for me. If Craig's disorientation improves, he might get a job on a fishing boat. You can see my dilemma. Craig could be anywhere along the coast. He would eventually head south toward a warmer climate. Could you please pass this information along to your contacts in the fishing/boating community? Perhaps you could distribute his missing person posters, which they are in here. Oh yeah, I remember seeing them. So this is what he looked like. I don't even know if he's still alive. I think I need to find that out. But these were the posters. She has several of them here still that she was using. Perhaps you could distribute his missing person posters. I can arrange to provide you with additional copies. Not knowing where Craig is or what condition he's in is a living nightmare for me. Whatever help you can give me will be heartfully appreciated. Please call me if you have any questions or suggestions on other people I can contact. Thank you very much. And then she gives her phone number and the address in Clintonville. I should go back there and see what's happened to that farm since then. And then there's some copies of the newspaper reports. Another picture of Uncle Craig. More news. Yeah. She kept a lot of the newspapers. It makes sense. Okay. I found a lot of the newspapers been digitized as well. So I'll have to see if those that she has here are some of the ones that I have as well. Whoa. Just more. Official Washington State Traveler's Guide that she has open to specific hotels, things to motels. And she was driving by herself alone in the car. I think she had her dogs with her. None of us were with her. And she used a lot of her own money then too to try to go and find him. Again, it's this quest that I think really drew Unsolved Mysteries to her. Some more maps. Again, imagine this is, before GPS. All the maps that she had to collect to try to figure out where to go. And some of these are just ripped out of who knows what. It looks like maybe map books. Again, what we had to do back in the 1990s, early 1990s. Jefferson Transit. So again, more yellow pages, a lot of maps. I mean, just imagine nowadays having to go and try to find someone. It's probably easier to find someone these days. You could use all kinds of maybe cameras to find someone. Didn't have that back then. Another big map that she just took and was using. A lot of maps, a lot of zip codes. Man, the amount of information she gathered. And it's interesting to me, all of these maps too. She was also a trained cartographer. She went to UW-Madison and earned a degree in cartography and had been working out in, I believe, Olympia, doing cartography for the government there. So the fact that she collected all these maps makes complete sense to me. Someone's business card. Oh, stuff from Alaska. She didn't go up to Alaska. I know that. Unless there's no way she could have. She focused on Oregon and Washington is what I remember. But she was interested. I mean, I don't know, maybe she ran out of money and she didn't go all the way up. But she basically spent October, November into December doing this. And, it's also not exactly the best time to be in that area. Classified ads, maybe. See maybe if there's jobs that he might have located. Here's another missing pictures, wanted. It's interesting. It says if you have any information, contact El Paso County, Colorado Sheriff's Office. She did not like the sheriffs that were and the police that were handling everything. I think partly because they thought she was a suspect. And I think Dad had to give her an alibi, if I remember correctly. But it's interesting that it says, to me, El Paso County, I also remember that his rental car that he was using in Colorado was actually found, I think, in El Paso. So, these interesting connections. The drive, that if it was him with amnesia, his car was found in El Paso. Now, it's either he drove it with amnesia or he was attacked and his car was stolen and it was driven down towards Mexico. And he just wandered off. I don't really know. I know that they both talked after he saw himself, but I don't actually know what they talked about. I think she said she recorded those conversations, though, on tape. So they're in here somewhere, which is interesting. This is a news report I don't have because this is the aquaculture news. Old newsletters, I tell you. Talking about him. A lot of copies. I'm guessing she was giving these out, but it also has him, the address, and the name of the fish farm, which I forgot, was Gemma or Hema, Jemma, Hema. Hema Aquaculture was the name of the fish farm. I remember visiting a couple times. So my grandparents, like I said, they had a farm that my dad and his siblings grew up on. And it was apparently hard to get them out of the farm because once we were living on the golf course, they were living next to us. My family lived off of the 9th fairway, and Grandma and Grandpa's house was off of like the 5th and 6th green and tee. And I remember Grandma had chickens and ducks. And at one point, my grandfather bought a turkey, big male turkey, and that thing hated me. It followed me down the driveway when I waited for the bus, and I would have to carry ski poles with me because otherwise it would attack me. But once my aunt and uncle got the fish farm, they took on the turkey. So I remember going to the fish farm and seeing the turkey there. And thankfully, it didn't recognize me. I did get to watch a video, though, of my aunt and uncle beheading a chicken. And it is true, they do run around a little bit with their head off. More news story. And again, there were a lot of news stories, but they never really talked to my dad or anyone. I don't even think they talked to my grandfather. I don't know what this is. This is not my uncle. All right. These are more of the missing person things. This is another Columbia River gill netter or something. So again, she's trying to gather all this information about possibilities of where he'd be. I don't know what this is. I think these are notes that she took about news stories. A lot of clippings again of, wanted ads, help wanted, thinking that maybe he might have seen one of these in a paper and gone and applied for the job. And that's interesting. So yeah, a lot of that going on here, it looks like. Which it makes sense. I mean, if you feel deep down that you have a theory as to what happened to your loved one, you're going to follow that theory. And that's what she did. She went out there and she was really trying to find him. Yeah. One ads, basically, help wanted, looking to see if there's any sign, maybe also of someone who was hired somewhere, or maybe, I don't see any obituaries. I just wonder if maybe she was also looking at obituaries in the area as well. Boy, some of these have some fascinating political cartoons. We'll say that. A lot of it is wanted ads. Phone numbers for people, Department of Fisheries in Spokane, Washington, Maritime. Yeah, so a lot of this type of boating news. A lot of phone numbers for people. Again, imagine having to carry all of this around in your car. You can't search for it because it's not on your phone. You have to kind of just figure out how to access everything. So these are harbor masters that she had all of these phone numbers, and she has some of them marked off, which I'm guessing means she probably contacted them. There's a lot of ports that she was contacting. Yeah, more of this. God, I can't imagine what it was like to have all of this paperwork and you have to go, point by point through it all. And some of these, they don't have any marks on them. She does have homeless coordinator, City of Seattle, Congress, so politicians information here, various churches, just in case he appeared to be homeless and people were getting him into some help there. Port directory again, from 1992, but it probably doesn't change all that much. Yeah, national fisheries, Pacific fisheries. Boy, this also lets you know just how much the Pacific Northwest focuses on fishing and everything. I guess you never really realize how big an industry is if you're not really in it until you see all of this kind of stuff. But yeah, gear trader. It's also interesting how people were communicating, I guess, back then too. That's just not my thing. This book belongs to Betty. Well, then hopefully she gave it to Aunt Chris and Aunt Chris didn't steal it. Washington ports. Boaters directory. Oh, yeah, she's writing notes, trying to figure out who to contact, where to contact, principal ports. She had a lot of that written down. She was organized. I kind of have a little bit of awe for that, really. I kind of see the woman that I was a fan of when I was a kid, because you can see her education put to work here. This is just, I'm not sure what this is. It's Fisherman's Terminal. It's just an empty card. Weird. She collected just some postcards. Never sent them out. I don't know if she meant to send these, or well, this one is dated December 16th. I know she came back, I think, in time for New Year's in 1994. I don't remember seeing her. I'm told there was a family gathering around that time, but either my family wasn't invited to the larger gathering, or I just don't remember. And it's weird that I can't remember. Even South Dakota, so she's, gathering all of these notes of where she's been, driving again from Wisconsin all the way to Seattle. Boy, some of these places look really nice. I wonder if they're still around. She collected a lot of stuff. It's kind of fascinating. And the fact that she kept all of this too. It's weird because a lot of what she's collecting here is tourism stuff. And yet she's not a tourist. But again, it has information and it has maps. Oh, I've not seen this. Oh, okay. I've not seen these. She, this, I think, was at the house on the fish farm where she put up apparently a memorial for Uncle Craig. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can see one of the dogs down there too. It's interesting. I didn't remember her being religious. I know my grandparents were Catholic and my dad was raised Catholic and everyone was raised Catholic, but I wasn't raised Catholic. And yet she has, prayer cards there. And it's interesting. I never thought of her that way. I don't know. We got more pictures, I think. The old days when you had, oh my Lord, you had negatives. That's all right. I'm going to have to look through these later. I haven't looked at a negative in a long time. This is what photographs used to be. Boy, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really make out what they are, but I have to look at them. They look like they're of the fish farm, but it could be from the driving that she did. It's a lot of wilderness by the looks of it. Oh, well, these are of the memorial. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know. When Dad and I went to go visit her in October 2024, she talked about how suicidal she was during all of this. No idea. Even Dad didn't know. When she said that to us, Dad was taken aback. Had no idea. It was also learning a lot about her medical history and how I'm seeing it in myself. I think about those 30 years in which I didn't have her in my life and how much healthier I could be if I had had her in my life. State Farm Insurance in Vancouver, Washington. That's interesting. More pictures, or negatives at least. Ooh, a receipt. Wow, it was so cheap back then. Oh, yeah, more negatives. A lot of negatives to go through. Do that at some point. having had experiences with my own mental health, it's, yeah, that's hard. All right, it's a return to sender. A number of return to senders here. What the heck? All coming from the fish farm. Some of these aren't opened. Oh, she was sending out messages to a lot of people, and they were returned to sender. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to open these on camera. This feels a little too personal. Fascinating. She must have been using old information to try to find people. Yeah, a lot of return to sender. A lot of them. Oh my God, there's so many. This one's been opened. Oh, this is a letter to an emergency room. Community Memorial Hospital, where she says he is suffering from amnesia. She, before the trip, he was still recovering from a bad concussion. That's also something I didn't know until more recently. I didn't remember anything about that. She, I think it was on the Unsolved Mysteries episode as well. She talked about the fact that on the fish farm before the trip to Colorado, he fell and hit his head. And, nowadays we'd probably look at it for concussions and things like that. But, 1990s guys, they're just like, I'm fine. But that was why she thought he had amnesia, because, again, she thought he was attacked and that the attack might have done something with the previous brain injury. So here she talks about a retired nurse saw him on Amtrak in mid-September. She could tell he was suffering from a head injury. Craig got off the train somewhere in Washington. Several psychics have independently said he is in the Seattle area. Okay, two things. I knew about the nurse because that's the reenactment on Unsolved Mysteries. I did not know about the psychics. I don't know what to think about that. Because on the one hand, she has talked about, her Catholicism and her belief in God, but she's not like devout, I would say. But psychics. Did not know. I'm gonna have to dwell on that one. Another missing poster, but psychics. She consulted psychics, and not just one, but several. Again, she had a college degree. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, in my past, I might have said, yeah, psychics make sense. Because I've always been interested in the supernatural and things like that. I'm still interested. But with a psychology degree, it's a little bit harder for me to accept. I don't know. It almost speaks to her desperation, I guess. There's another letter sent to diving services. Okay. Not only was she typing and printing all of these, and actually it might have just been a typewriter too, I'm not sure. She was signing all of them too. So this isn't like a form letter. This is specific to this individual because it's talking about the job. And she's enclosing an article where she talks more about this. Oh, it's the aquaculture. So, God, not only was she spending money to get out there, she was spending money to type, to make copies, to mail things, and then to have them returned. The frustration must have been immense. Well, and then we get to even bigger ones. Manila folders. Again, these are being returned to sender. Operating on outdated information, most likely. There's nothing in this one. But yeah, all returned to sender. And this was postmarked 94, March 14th. So this was after she comes back from the quest. And she's still sending stuff out. This is before the Unsolved Mysteries episode comes out, because that comes out in May 1994. Oh, there's so much in here. What time is it? Okay. Yeah, we're going to probably just do one box. I might have to do 4 sessions of this. Oh, there's so much. Okay, yeah. I think I have this news story. Oh, yeah. A lot of the news stories. Cable advertising? Infovision, cable advertising. What? Oh, I think she either was going to, or she put out ads on cable television in Washington. Yeah, she did. I didn't even know you could do this. It says missing was a sea urchin diver. I didn't know he was a sea urchin diver. Has amnesia, white male, white hair and beard, 49, blue eyes, wire rim glasses, 190 pounds, name Craig D. Williamson, please call, collect. Oh, she was even then calling for anyone who was going to be okay or paying for that. I didn't know she did this. But it's also interesting, if you look at the form, it makes me think of like how telegraph stuff operate in the past. You pay per letter. Wow, I didn't know about this at all. $20 to do. So you could see different versions of what she was trying to do. $15 per week for 4 weeks. Makes me think of, when you try to market something on Facebook or Twitter X or anything, and you have to determine how much money you can spend over a certain amount of time to reach a certain amount of people. And she was doing that for cable television. I don't know what this is. Does it go with this? Okay, still don't know. I don't understand what any of this is. This just looks like it's pulled out of a magazine. Old magazine ads. Woo! Treadmill from the 1990s. All right. The religious right in Washington State, 1992 and 93. Works in progress. Thurston County Rainbow Coalition. Oh, they will run a story next month. This is from December 1993, so it's another newspaper that she picked up. This looks like it's a socialist paper, which is fascinating. Yeah, it is. It's a socialist paper from 1993. Wow. I don't know if they ever ran a story. I'd have to look. More news stories. What's this? Oh, a phone number for a reporter at WBAY TV Channel 2 in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Yeah, different reporters calling. I don't know what that is. Just another thing from a newspaper. More phone numbers, different newspaper reporters from the time that she was probably trying to contact and pitch the story to. Sorry, this one makes me laugh because it's a receipt, or it's a notice to call someone at WBAY, but they wrote down her name. Her name is Christine Reinhard, and it's just a D at the end. I always say Reinhard as in dog. Here they wrote it down as Christina Reinhardt with a T at the end. And the amount of times in which I've had my name misspelled, I feel this so hard right now. There's nothing like, not getting your name right. While you were out of case closed. Telegraph Gazette, case closed. What the heck is case closed? Another TV show? Portland PD. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh my God, these Post-it notes are stuck together. USA Network, case closed. Must have been another true crime series. that was on cable at the time. Channel 11, Channel 2, and she was calling them, trying to get people to run videos, run things, apparently. I know Green Bay Press Gazette did stories on her because I've got the news stories from that. Again, it's the frustration. Just must have been intense. There was something on this, but it's very faded now. I can't really make it out. Transmission verification report. She had a fax machine. How many people do you know grew up with a fax machine or had one just in their house? A lot of, these are all TV channels trying to get people to run stories in the hope of being able to get Uncle Craig to notice them. A lot of different papers, TV shows, like all of these while you're out. This was from the sheriff. She did not like the sheriff. I don't recognize any of these names, but it's interesting the amount that are here. And not just, in Green Bay, which would have been the main market for Clintonville area, but also, AP wire service back in the day, AP wire service. So she was, reaching out even nationally at the time. Saturday, November 13th, to Christine Williamson, so they gave her the wrong last name. National radio news broadcast heard at 5 p.m. today requested the general public to help assist the Phoenix Police Department to identify 2 middle-aged amnesia victims, both men who are in Phoenix Hospital. Contact the Phoenix Police. I don't know if this will help, but I am sure you want to follow up on any lead. Still concerned and praying. Stub and Barb Root. Friends, maybe. Following up on any leads, even in Phoenix. Yep, Press Gazette. Again. Also, there's something interesting to me about the fact that all of this is on legal paper, because this is how I do all of my notes. I had no idea she was doing this. I'm seeing a lot of similarities in personality that I just never expected, I guess. Which makes me think, like, if my Chris, my partner, my husband were to disappear, would I have the wherewithal to do all of this? I would hope so. Good wishes from people. Best wishes. Photocopying of business cards. Try to get things done. Oh, I didn't know this. Okay, so media release, September 3rd, 1993. Must be from the sheriff's office. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office is seeking the aid of the community and attempting to locate a missing person wherein foul play is suspected. Craig D. Williamson arrived in Colorado Springs area from his home in Clintonville, Wisconsin on Sunday, August 29th, 1993, sometime after 3 p.m. Mr. Williamson, who is in the fish hatchery business, was in Colorado Springs to conduct business dealings and checked into the Super 8 motel located on Peterson Road near Highway 24 in Cimarron Hills. Cimarron. He also rented a car while in the area from Enterprise Rental Company located in North Academy Boulevard. Mr. Williamson spoke to his wife in Wisconsin via telephone on August 30th, 1993 at approximately 8:30 p.m. He indicated at the time that he was preparing to return the rental car in question. The car was never returned to the rental company and is currently listed as a stolen vehicle. Upon receiving the missing persons report, deputies searched Williamson's room at the Super 8 on Tuesday morning and found his belongings to still be in the room. It does not appear that Williamson slept in his bed on Monday night, and a wake-up call placed to him at 5 a.m. Tuesday morning went unanswered. 2 credit cards belonging to Mr. Williamson were received in a grocery store in El Paso, Texas, on Tuesday evening at about 7 p.m. However, the manager on duty at the time does not remember anyone matching Williamson's description ever having been in the store on Tuesday. And that, I do remember hearing that a lot. I think at the time that was one of the things Dad told us, was that his credit cards were discovered. And my understanding was they recovered the car, which the rental vehicle is described as follows: 1993 Plymouth Sundance, Colorado plate, GAC 6453, aqua in color. Ooh, aqua. Four-door hatchback. I remember they recovered the car, and the reason my dad started to suspect that this wasn't foul play was because he heard an FBI report, I think from the FBI directly, that they found clippings of hair in the rental car that they said matched Craig's hair. And Dad's idea was always, if they had abducted him, or if he had amnesia, why would he have cut his beard or something like that? It was always like Dad's idea. This is, oh wow, you can tell how old this is then. This is apparently a longer version of the story that she was sending out. There's a lot more details here. A lot of this is what she's told me. Some of it I didn't know. I'm not going to read all of it. It mentions the tilapia. And, excuse me. Oh, yeah. So in less than 20 hours, his credit cards were found. Within 10 days, the rental car was spotted safely parked in a stolen car drop-off area in Juarez, Mexico. Stolen car drop-off area. I guess it's common. And yeah, I remember hearing Dad and them talk about the fact that, it's common for cars to just show up stolen in Juarez, Mexico. She says, I believe Craig was mugged behind his motel as he got into the rental car. This motel sits alone on a major highway next to a park and ride lot. Many migrant workers come through the area on their way back to Mexico. They most likely hit Craig over the head, took his wallet, and quickly took off for the 12-hour drive to Mexico. Yeah, that's a supposition on a stereotype, and I'm not really happy about this. Yeah, but that was the theory she had, and she goes into more detail about the entire thing. This is interesting. This is, who's she writing to? NW Afternoon, Como TV in Seattle, Washington. So this is her talking about the entire story, to pitch it essentially to them to do a story on it. That's interesting. I'm going to put that aside because I want to look at that some more. Again, more news clippings. I'll have to see if I have digital versions of these. There's my aunt way down there. There's that aspect of performance to all of this too that I can't help thinking about, especially in watching the Unsolved Mysteries episode again, which I did back in fall of 2024 before I went out to meet her again. And it's hard not to see that performance aspect going on where, the staged aspects of how she was acting to try to come across a certain way, which makes a lot of sense. And I'm not faulting her on that. This is talking about the Unsolved Mysteries episode. So I'm not faulting her on that. I just need to note it as I'm trying to make sense of all of this and going through all of it. Business card for WLUK TV in Green Bay, Wisconsin. A lot of, again, news reports. Some stuff about, again, sending out facts to try to reach people. One of the things that I always heard from my dad was that the fish farm wasn't doing well. Again, tilapia back then, I remember having it for the first time at the golf course. I think Grandma made it for us. It was good. It didn't taste like other types of white fish. And it's interesting to think about how, they were ahead of their time because, it probably would be a lot more successful now. But I heard that it wasn't successful. And maybe that is why things happened. I don't want to get into supposition too much here right now. I'll do that elsewhere. Yeah, this is a lot of news contacts that she was trying to make, trying to get the story out there, probably trying to get as much coverage as possible. And I guess, eventually it worked because she got on Unsolved Mysteries. Oh, here we go. May 7th, 1994. This is about the Unsolved Mysteries. Hello, Unsolved Mysteries is going to air a program about my missing husband, Craig Williamson, on May 25th. They decided to help us after learning of my search for Craig in the Northwest and the media coverage I received. We believe Craig may have passed through your area or may actually be there. Who is this going to? I'm not sure. Okay. Would you please inform your readers of the May 25th program? It will be a part of a 2-hour special that Wednesday night on your NBC affiliate. I've enclosed some background information. I'd be happy to talk with you. Boy, by the time she got to this point, she's not even really signing. She's just doing a quick little thing. This must have gone out to somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. Oh, wow. This is all of the notes on the front. This was something that she apparently was going to send out to a sheriff's office, but then there's all kinds of other notes on it. And then on the back, there's a shopping list for groceries. It's weird to think about how, even when it feels like your world is falling apart, you still got to eat. Okay. I guess we talk about self-care these days and how, with all the trauma we experience in our daily lives, we still have to engage in self-care. And part of that is, eating well. Directories of news organizations, newspapers, broadcast media in the Pacific Northwest. I don't even know where she would get this. From a library, maybe? Coal Directory or Gale Directory. Again, the idea that how you have to go find these types of directories and make copies, it's just crazy. Memo from American Fisheries Society. Picture with Uncle Craig in it. They did a story in March of '94, apparently. Okay, see if I can track that down. God, there's just notes and numbers and names everywhere. How did anyone keep any of this straight? It's just all over the place. And if you want to find any of it, you have to be so organized then to be able to find where you scribble down something. Again, tourist information. Scribble down something that would help you. Maps. Columbia River Gorge map. Metropolitan Los Angeles, even though I don't believe she got all the way down there. Port Townsend, Portland. Maps. Great. This is the last of it in this box. Post Crescent news stories. So she was copying, again, a lot of copies of this. Copying all of these stories to try to send out to drum up interest. Oh, Lord, there's a lot of this one. And then a lot more. The agriculture news one, a lot of these copies. So she would be making all of these copies. And again, all during this time. I don't know what's happening to the fish. I don't know what's happening to the farm. I think my Uncle Ken was helping sometimes on the farm, from what I've heard. These are copies. She had multiple copies of the letters she would be sending out. Again, explaining her story, her perspective, her theory on what she thinks happened. More directory. I think she made this. Phone book, Craig D. Williamson, search contact list. she actually produced, this is one of the ways she organized all of this information, was she produced her own contact book, her own phone book. Again, this today, Excel file. So much easier to find, update, use. I can't, oh my God. What is this? Leavenworth Cemetery. All of these phone numbers. These are all contact information, all phone numbers. Faxes. Yeah, phone numbers. Longitude? Wait, is that longitude and latitude? It looks like there's some longitude and latitude numbers in here too. Yeah. More of the letters she sent out, more missing pictures or missing person pictures. I don't know what this is. Former Arizona resident, full beard, gold wire rim glasses, suffering from amnesia, may talk about fish. I didn't know he was from Arizona. How did he get into how did he get into diving? This is interesting. She apparently mocked up different versions of it with updates. This is a physical update. She physically put that on there. And then she also had Spanish versions. I don't know if she translated that herself or she had someone translate it for her. Oh, here we go. For Spanish wording, call this person. I think someone was doing it for her. Again, AI today. A lot of the missing person pictures in Spanish as well. Oh, this is just all missing person. This is just all missing person flyers. This is all Spanish. Desperseal. Desdale. I'm not going to do any more than that. That's a lot. Okay. Don't know where these would have gone up. All right, last thing in this box then. NAQP Resource Guide and Membership Directory 1993. What the heck is this? What is the NAQP? Why aren't you saying what you are? All right. You're not helping. You just keep saying NAQP. So I don't know what the NAQP is. It looks like copiers. it's about printing. What the heck is this about? Oh, well, okay. It's information about printers, like print and copy shops, I guess, and businesses. Where, if you want to get help creating all of the copies of the stuff you got to send out. Never heard of anything like this before. All right. That's been an hour. I've learned some stuff. It's kind of crazy. After 30 years, still learning some stuff and learning her perspective on all of this. So, what's the end game here? This was one of, I think, the defining moments of my childhood was what happened here and the stuff that happened after it. And the stuff that happened after it that I saw is related to it and caused by it. And what I really want to do, though, is to think about my own experiences in relationship to my dad's experiences, my aunt's experiences, but then how people have responded to all of this since then. And this idea of like, if it wasn't for the TV show, this wouldn't, well, I mean, if it wasn't for the TV show, we probably wouldn't have found Uncle Craig. So there's that. So at least there was resolution for my aunt. But If it wasn't for the World Wide Web and then social media, YouTube in particular, I don't know how many people would have remembered this or would have created wikis and videos about this themselves who were not connected in some way to what happened. So it's interesting to think through my own trauma in relationship to how the audience and true crime fans have responded to it in particular. Um, so I'm working on that right now. I I don't think I'm ever going to get at the full truth of what happened, and maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe what happens more is an understanding of how people reacted to it and how their reactions influenced my life, both then and now. So, what I'm trying to get out of it is an examination of the ways in which we construct our own reality. I mean, yeah, there's objective reality. I mean, he disappeared. Why did he disappear? Was it amnesia? Was he fleeing my aunt? Was he fleeing a failing business? I don't know. And I'll probably never know. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is to realize that it's not just my trauma. All right. See you all next time.